All right, I'm just going to start talking while people are starting to come in here. Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. Was planning to do a different sort of live stream and ended up just coming back to this because the weather outside is absolutely terrible right now, and I really couldn't do much else. Like I said, a couple times before on Instagram, I was trying to do a travel stream for the last few days, actually, and it just really hasn't worked out. So we are just going to do a little stream here for a while, do a little bit of a hangout session, talk a little bit, maybe talk about some of the upcoming travel, things like that, and then, yeah. But I appreciate the guys coming, and so yeah, the weather around here is really bad. It is, I don't even know how there hasn't been a tornado outside yet. It's been just blowing horrible wind today, and to the point where it's almost dangerous to be even on the roads. And then for the whole day yesterday, it just almost torrentially rained, so it was nearly impossible to do anything. And I tried to get a bunch done and had a little bit even planned ahead and went out on the road and just got completely screwed over, essentially. So my apologies there. We will be doing some live streaming from the road here upcoming as soon as the weather is permitting and as soon as we're not getting rained out every time that I go out on the road. And looking forward to doing that again, as well as doing some more episodes of the podcast. But at this point, it's just looking to be completely impossible to get anything done. And every time I go out to get something done, it just gets, again, sort of messed up. And yeah. Hey there, Colleen. Hey, Pete. $45 to 50 mile per hour winds. Wow. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, things are starting to look a little bit better in my area. It's looking like tomorrow's going to be a little bit better, but I'm probably not going to be out on the road at all. I'm probably going to be doing some more holiday stuff. Been doing a decent amount of holiday stuff over the week, and so that's also kind of contributed to not doing as much on the live stream and on the second channel. So once next week gets started here, we'll probably be picking up a little bit more. But I didn't want to completely screw up the schedule. I wanted to come on and make sure that I took a chance to do at least a smaller stream, even though, like I said, I was trying to do something from the road. And so that was a little bit disappointing that I wasn't able to do that at all. But it'll happen, especially in the wintertime when things started getting really bad out. And again, it's just been, I'm surprised it hasn't flooded. It's been raining so much over the last 24 hours that it's been ridiculous. Thank you, Pete. Happy Thanksgiving. Excuse me. So, yeah. I also started doing some more filming, and I got rained out of filming. So I was trying to have another episode to put up on the 539 channel by now, but that got messed up pretty bad. I had to leave the location in the middle of filming because I was afraid of damaging my equipment, so it kind of ended up, again, being a huge disappointment. And that was the same day that I was actually going to do the live stream from the road. I was planning to film a few locations, and then with any time left in the day, I was going to take you guys along with me to get maybe some of the Instagram shots and take you along the trails and things like that. I had a lot planned, and again, just got rained out, and then it's been just horrible weather ever since. Hey there, John. Thanks for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. So, yeah. It's been rough over the last week, and was planning to, again, have a lot more up and have more episodes over on, like I said, 539 Productions for you guys, but wasn't much I could really do about it, unfortunately. looking to get a few things here in the future to help me out with that. Again, as I've said in the past, a long time ago, I started getting different things to make it easier for me to film in bad weather, but some places just don't really go well with bad weather, and so it just depends on where I am and what I'm doing. Sometimes it's kind of a really interesting part of an episode, and then other times it just is something that makes me really have to leave. And I kind of need to get some more protection for my cameras so that I can actually take them out in the rain, take them out in the snow and things like that. But that's upcoming here and all in the works. So, and I am hoping to get back out on the road, maybe do a few longer trips here. That's the plan, at least. I want to. There's an Ohio trip I want to do, and then possibly a Michigan trip that I want to do. So I'm hoping to maybe do that in the next few weeks or so. So it should be some interesting things coming up here. But again, it just depends on what area I'm in and if it lends well to whatever conditions that I'm in. So that's kind of where I am at this point. Hey there, Jade. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a happy holiday season here, no matter what part of the world you're in or what you're celebrating. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me here for a little bit. Again, not going to be the longest stream in the world. I was, like I said, intending to do something from the road, and this is sort of my consolation stream. Hey there, Big Steve. Good to have you here, man. Happy Thanksgiving, bro. I appreciate that. I'd love to be getting some of that California weather right now, minus the wildfires. But I mean, I think that the area you're in is pretty safe from that. Hopefully, I hope you stay safe out there. It kind of worries me from time to time. I have some friends out that way, and every time I see the news and all these wildfires going on, it just scares me. But yeah, make sure you check out Big Steve's channel, as always. And if you haven't seen any of the collaborations that we did, make sure you check those out. I feel like I'm being really... Okay, never mind. I was going to say I thought I was being quiet, but it looks like the stream is liking the volume. My mixer board is just not liking it. Hey there, Juanita. Good to see you. Yeah, you probably get that... the nice breezes going off the bay there, so I can imagine it can be a little bit cold. And it's more northern in California, so yeah, I can understand that. But still, I will say I miss it. It was a really cool area. Big fan of the Bay Area. Very true, Steve. Yes, we made some amazing videos. Steve could definitely be like a professional tour guide if he really wanted to. He like knows everything about the area. Like Steve's knowledge of like history, especially in that area, is impeccable. So again, make sure you check out some of his videos. I mean, just the level of like history that he can spit out is just amazing. Sometimes I was just sitting there in awe. That's probably why I don't know if my my narration skills were quite as well put together when I was out there, just because I was just like sitting there wondering how Steve managed to memorize all of that. But yeah, a lot of fun times, really cool adventures that we had out there, some amazing locations, some crazy views from those locations, and quite frankly, some of the most popular videos on my channel. Berkeley, oh yeah, for sure. That sounds like fun. Anywhere in California you want to go, or outside of California, whatever you want to do, man. Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds like fun. I've got a lot of stuff in California I've been wanting to do. I want to get up to the redwood forest too, and some of the more natural areas too. I think that'd be kind of cool. We need to hit up one of those trees that you can like drive through. I heard one of them recently fell over and is no longer. Well, obviously you can't drive through it anymore if it fell over, but then I kind of learned that there might be more than one of them. I always thought it was just one. Haha, there we go. Some California head shops. When in Rome. But yeah, I'm down for anything. And we need to go to Gilman. I want to see I think that's not too far away from where you live. I want to go to the punk club on Gilman where Green Day first performed. When they weren't Green Day, they were what was it called? Beautiful Children, I think was the name of their band, which is kind of interesting name. But I don't know if you've ever been there, but I want to go there sometime too. But yeah, that all sounds awesome. Squatch hunting. There we go. Me and Steve can go find Bigfoot and become famous and rich. Because if you're ever the first person to actually find legit evidence and take legit footage of that, that's going straight to the top. That's got to be trending. If that's not trending, then YouTube truly is broke. But yeah, I'd go Bigfoot hunting with Steve. That'd be fun. I don't know if Steve's into the Bigfoot stuff. I don't really know. But for sure. That'd be cool. But yeah, hopefully everybody's having a good holiday season, the starting of the holiday season. Oh, hold on. YouTube is censoring stuff again for no reason. Yeah, we could all use a little extra cash, I suppose, yeah. For sure. That would definitely bring it. I think we could sell that footage to anybody. You could put that footage on YouTube, make like $1 million off of ad placements, and then on top of that, sell it to all the news companies in the world and still make $1 million more. For sure. Obviously, yeah. Steve's a good one for the comical side of things too. We can find Bigfoot and then shame him into running away as we make fun of him. That would be a first. We'll be the ones to drive Bigfoot away. But I did hear some experts, not in cryptozoology, but just in zoology and biology and, I don't know, just that sort of field in general, saying that if there was one place in the United States that it was likely to be able to exist, it would be that direction, the sort of Pacific Northwest, that it has enough dense natural areas and woods that if there was anywhere around here that it could be, that would be the place. As far as there's a lot of rumors in Ohio and Indiana. There's even some not quite Bigfoot, but slightly. I forget what it's called. I think it's named after the county that it's in. But there's this supposedly extra violent form of Bigfoot that goes out of its way to attack humans. And I don't know if there's any legitimacy to those claims, but I would love to check that out sometime too. We gotta get Big Steve out this way sometime. Hey there, Pam. Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for joining us here tonight. We might be just ringing in the Thanksgiving, at least here. Some of you are in different time zones, obviously. But yeah, I think that'd be, even if we didn't find anything, I think that'd be kind of fun just to go out and search for Bigfoot with Steve. That'd be cool. I'd do that for sure. We'll have to do that even if it's just for fun. Maybe we'll do it like live stream. That way no one can blame us if we don't really find anything. We just go out and do it for fun. We'll do like dueling live streams. Or we could do the live together. I know there's a couple different ways to do it. Steve's probably better at that than I am. Steve has kind of the cool panel live streams where like 4 or 5 people can stream together. So that's kind of cool. I always enjoy that. But yeah, I'd be down. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the Bigfoot thing. I don't know if I mean, I kind of believe and I kind of don't. I think that a lot of the stories are fake and a lot of the evidence is fake, unfortunately, because there's a lot of people out there that want attention. But in terms of there being undiscovered species in the world, we discover new species almost on the daily. So as far as it being possible that something exists, I think it's absolutely possible. And I've been seeing a lot more evidence, not just of Bigfoot, but just in general, that larger creatures can get along pretty well in deep, dark, forested areas and not really be too discovered. I remember they didn't find any evidence of Bigfoot, but they were remarking about how it would be nearly impossible for a big animal to really live in that area and sort of quietly keep away from humans. And then they found a whole herd of cattle that they had no idea that was living in the area and who were like essentially silently running through the forest. And so they sort of proved that whole theory wrong, that things couldn't hide. So who knows? You never know. Maybe we'll be the first. You might see us on the news. Hopefully YouTube first. Hardboiled, welcome. Good to have you. Happy Thanksgiving, Matthew. Thanks for joining us, bro. Glad to have you here. So yeah, I got to make it back out that way soon. I was intending to head that way earlier, and then had some different issues that prevented me from doing that. I was definitely wanting to get back out that way again and work with, everybody, pretty much the same people, including maybe some new people. Some people that I've interacted with online but haven't really interacted with in person. But yeah, definitely want to get back out to California. Definitely going back to Vegas sometime soon here. And then obviously I'm going to probably go up to Idaho and get together with Ryan from RJ32 again. I say probably, meaning sometimes we did have some plans to. Last time I was out, we were thinking about going down to Nevada to do some stuff, and that didn't end up working out though. But whether or not we meet up in a different state or meet up in his home state of Idaho, I'd like to go and do that again too. So. That'd be interesting to do the camping thing for sure. I've been camping before, not recently. It's been a few years. I have a lot of camping equipment, and I wouldn't mind doing that. I know the wildlife situation would be a lot different out that way, so it'd be kind of interesting. Have to be on the lookout for those big cats, and on top of that, I guess. If Bigfoot's really out there, then that would be something to look out for too, because that would be potentially a pretty big threat. But yeah, I'd do it. I'd be excited to go camping again. It's been probably too many years. I'd say it's probably been a good 6 or 7 years since I've been camping, and yeah, I always had a pretty good experience. Yeah, I've been camping in some pretty cool places, but only in the Midwest. But some of them, like I've shown you on the channel, some of the places in the Midwest are a little bit more wild and not quite those flat cornfields that you see everywhere. So those are the places that I went camping, so it wasn't necessarily anti-wild, I guess. Oh, very cool. Yeah. Um, I was watching actually oddly, a Dutch miner sort of a treasure hunting series recently. Actually, not recently, last night. About the I think I can't remember what state it is in. It might be Arizona. There's like supposedly this lost Dutch mine that's worth like millions and millions of dollars, and there's like this cryptic map that you can follow. And yeah, that was pretty interesting. I thought it'd be kind of cool to do that. Salt Fork, Ohio. I haven't heard of that. I'll have to look that up. Uh, there's a crazy. It's not really a Bigfoot rumor, or these things really exist. They're not animals, but for some reason there's this sort of tradition to put up these fake Bigfoot. They're like just pieces of wood that have been cut out in the shape of Bigfoot, but they're painted black. And so people will put them back in their property in the woods. And when you look over, it looks like there's this gigantic, shadowy Bigfoot creature looking out at you from the road. Or not from the road, from the woods, at the road. But I thought it was only the one. I drove by it on a road one day, and I looked over, and there was this, like, 9-foot tall, like, cutout of Bigfoot. And then I think I was up towards the Ohio border a couple of weeks ago, and I saw another one. And yeah, so apparently it's like some weird tradition. But I don't really get the whole point of it, so who knows? I feel like if someone's ever out on the property, I'm gonna have to ask him what the point of it is, because it clearly it's not a exclusive idea. Because the second one I found was almost identical. It was almost a 9-foot cutout made of wood, painted black, and then slightly off the side of the road, so it looked like it was in the woods and like hiking through the woods. It's like it makes you take a second look, but like once you see it, you realize exactly what it is. It's just sort of a prank. Yeah, I'll have to take a picture of it next time, or of one of them. One of them's not too far away from where I live. The other one's a little bit further away. So I'm gonna have to do some research, because I would really love to find out what the whole point of it is. Because again, it's definitely not a singular person's idea. It's definitely something that has been done multiple times, and I'm sure I haven't found all of them. I'm sure that there's probably many more that I haven't seen. So I'd love to know what the whole point of it is. There has to be some weird trend. There's something like, not quite doll heads, but there's something like that around here somewhere. I can't remember where they built it, but it was like a gnome forest, and they have all these little tiny gnomes, and like the gnome houses that are built into trees, and it's just like a massive art project that was taken on by a community, and I can't remember where it was. Otherwise, I would go there and check it out. But I think stuff like that's pretty interesting. I like the sort of community art projects like that, especially when they're kind of on the creepy side of things. I think it's an interesting thought. But it does remind me of, I think there's an island in Mexico that is similar to that too. I remember seeing that on some exploring channels back in the day. It was like a Dollhead Island or something like that. And I think that'd be kind of cool to go to. It might have been on one of the exploring with channels with either Josh or Cody or a couple different ones. But yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't know where the gnome one is, and that one's in the Midwest somewhere. And I want to say it might be it might be Indiana. I can't really remember. I'm gonna have to do some more research on it. But that's good that you brought that up, because it actually reminded me that I wanted to do that. But we have some interesting ones. There's a famous shoe tree somewhere There's like hundreds and hundreds of pairs of shoes that have been, I don't know if it's multiple trees or if it's just the one, but there is something like that around here. So, and that's a community art project, which is kind of strange, but at the same time, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to do more stuff like that and mix it in. Because again, I don't want people to be under this conception that all I do is graveyards and cemeteries and mausoleums and things like that, when really it's definitely a form of a travel series. And I think unfortunately, uh, not everybody, but a good deal of people have gotten kind of confused about what the channel really is about, and so they get sort of angry at me when I don't do the cemeteries or whatnot. Isla de las Muñecas. Okay. South of New Mexico. Wait, south of New Mexico as in the United States? Or in actual Mexico? Or maybe I'm trying to think my geography now. Is there a part of New Mexico that actually touches the Mexican border? I thought it was all Texas, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I might be misthinking my geography right now. Obviously, there's more than one state that touches the Mexican border. But, yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to have to look that up, too. I've heard that one's somewhat off limits now, and that you have to sort of get in contact with the people, if it's even possible. I'll have to look it up. It's cool. I'm sure I can find it. But I appreciate the details. But yeah, I think stuff like that would be a lot of fun. Queen is saying no. So maybe, yeah, I'll just look it up and see. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. Either way, it'd be fine. I would love to go down to Mexico one of these days. I think that'd be a lot of fun, too. I just need to get a passport if I do that, and I do not have a passport right now. South of Mexico City, okay. I was going to say, yeah, that makes sense, okay. Hey there, Shauna. Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Yeah, it's unfortunate when too many people flood into one location and then it gets closed off to the public. Which is sad because in a lot of places other than the United States, they're not so down on explorers. And so it's sort of one of those things, if you find the right location, it's perfectly fine to go in and take a look around as long as you don't really cause any damage. And if there are people there, you can either sort of pay them an entrance fee or they might just let you in. And so I think it's kind of sad that some of those locations that were kind of open to the public or open to explorers at the very least are kind of getting so overwhelmed that they have to close their doors. Hey there, Chrissy. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Jake. Good to see you. Faye, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's too bad when people go and they vandalize these places. It's sad. Yeah, I feel like as explorers, we should keep them as close to what we find them as we can. Obviously places are going to decay over time, but we can do our best to not be part of that decay. And while, I know there's some amazing like graffiti artists and tag artists out there, and I can respect that a lot. I think there's proper places to do it, and definitely in places that other people have sort of made their own art projects, I don't think that's something that's appropriate. The Missing 411. I have not heard of that. I've heard some crazy stuff about the zone of silence, where there's a lot of magnetic distortion and different I don't know if it's radioactivity or what not in the area, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's people or if it's wild animals, but a lot of people that go into the area end up disappearing. But I'm gonna have to look up that one though. I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, I even keep some of the graveyards and cemetery locations secret, especially if they've had recent vandalism problems. So from time to time, if you see that I don't actually let anybody know where I am, and I sort of just let it be sort of an interesting explore, some of that's why. I've done a few places in Michigan, and I don't tell people where I'm actually at because of that very problem. Oh, thank you, Juanita. I'll look that up. I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like there's a place to put artwork and even tag art. But then I think there's a difference between tag art and graffiti too, because some of those people are amazing artists, and then there's people that just tag their names on the sides of buildings and things like that, and that's obviously a completely different situation. And I don't think that the professional tag artists would want to be associated with those people either. So, yeah, it sucks. So, just something we have to deal with, and I think one of the reasons that sometimes explorers end up running into bad situations. We don't always go in there with bad intentions, and a lot of times we go in there with the absolute best of intentions to sort of document these amazing places that still exist and are yet completely empty. And because of people that have gone in there before and been untrustworthy, a lot of explorers are made to pay the ultimate price, and I think that's unfortunate too. And that explorers get sort of grouped together with those people, but at the same time, I guess in some ways I understand. So it's just an overall sad situation. We should always do our best to protect these places and to not destroy them. And I think a lot of again explorers, especially, are kind of saddened by those situations because it not only destroys the historic integrity of the location, but also makes it impossible for future explorers to go and document these places. And, it's important to, we're not selfish. We know that other people are going to go there after us, and maybe we're not even the first person that's ever been there. And to know that, 2-3 people down the line, these places might be completely destroyed, is kind of sad. And so, yeah, again, it's like that's some of the reason that people don't share locations anymore. I don't think there's a lot of there are some, but I don't think there's a lot of overly selfish YouTubers and explorers. We'd all love to share a lot of our locations, but at the same time, because of situations like this, it's just impossible. Yeah. But again, that's some of the reason that I do locations like I do nowadays. A lot of my locations I have permission to be in, or they're on public land, and they're protected to a certain extent. And so I like doing locations like that now because it ensures that I protect myself and I can further protect the locations as well. So. Yeah, and I've even been in situations too where, I almost paid the price because somebody else came before me and caused damage and whatnot to locations, and so, I completely understand. But, it sucks that again that the explorers are sort of grouped in together and that there's this sort of one overwhelming law that prevents everybody from enjoying these places. Especially when there's a decent amount of countries out there that if you don't do anything wrong, if you don't disturb anything, if you don't steal anything, you can pretty much go in, document, explore, do whatever you want, and there's no real problems with it. Yeah, Florida is a difficult place, for sure. I've not done any exploring myself there, but I've known from some friends that it's getting harder and harder. So it sucks again, and there's not much that we can really do about it. But yeah, it's just kind of up to people to be more responsible. But at the same time, again, some of it's just the country that we live in. They're a little bit more strict here, and not so forgiving about even the people that again aren't really doing anything wrong. They're just sort of checking places out. And I can understand if certain places are maybe up for sale, or they're not truly abandoned or whatever. But if something's been just left around rotting and decaying in the wilderness for years and years, and it's very evident that no one's really going to be going there or purchasing that place or using it in the least, it seems like there should be some leeway there for people to go in and check it out at least. I think the information about Florida was actually all over YouTube. There was a whole string of YouTubers that had issues, and yeah, I mean, I'll let you guys look that up. I'm not going to go into that too much, but there was a lot of people that got affected by that over the last year. What have you missed? Depends on what we're talking about. I mean, again, with the whole Florida situation, I'm gonna let you guys be the judges of that and look all that information up. But um, needless to say, there was a whole handful of explorers that ran into some problems going to certain places. Um, yeah. Oh, the guys didn't move to New York. They're still in Florida. Some of them might have. I don't know about Omar or the rest of them, but I know that Rob and Joe are still in Florida, and Todd's still in Florida, uh, although he's been traveling a lot recently. But as far as I know, most of them are still located down there. But no, Joe was from New York and now lives in Florida. And then, well, I think all of them originated out of state and then moved there. Hey there, Jenny. Welcome. So yeah, crazy situations though. But no, they're still down there. Again, unless it's like Omar. Joe and Rob did move, but they didn't move out of Florida. They just moved to they bought a house. So no, they're still down there. And as far as I know, still in the same basic area. But I think before they had been renting a place, and they decided to move once that whole lease was up or whatever. Franco TV moved from NYC to Florida too. Yeah, it's pretty popular thing to do. Lots of people from my area moved down to Florida as well. I think we just all get tired of the cold. It's nice to live somewhere where it's not as much fluctuation during the seasons. No, yeah, because I just saw Joe and Rob about a month ago when they were up in Illinois, and they definitely flew from Florida to Illinois. So we need okay. You're south of Orlando. Yeah, I know that area decently. I've been to Orlando before, and then traveled actually all the way down through Miami and into the Keys, and done a lot of travel in Florida. Unfortunately, none for the YouTube channels. Hoping to correct that here soon, but yeah, it's been many years since I've been actually to Florida, although I've been close to Florida a few times. Yeah, Wisconsin's a rough one in terms of weather, especially any of the states surrounding the Great Lakes get hit pretty rough, but Wisconsin definitely gets it. Hey, Jen, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm wanting to get up into Wisconsin here sometime soon. I've been doing some mapping out of different locations, and definitely have to hit up that area again, or not again, but hit up that area pretty soon here. But we'll see how the weather treats us over the next few months. But if it's not too bad, I'll probably try and do some shorter trips to different states like that. Hey, Kenneth, thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, looking to do some more road trips. Just had a few setbacks, weather included, some car issues, things like that, and it kind of pushed a few things back. But we'll be getting them back out there on the road and doing some more stuff from different states here pretty soon. And I'm still wanting to do the trip out west again, like I said, probably this time through Route 66, or at least near it. Maybe do some Route 66 locations, though. Hey there, Sue. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Faye. I appreciate that for sure. Yeah, if you ever got any suggestions, feel free to get a hold of me via DM or email. And if it's something that looks viable, I'll definitely try and do it. And if anybody, I know occasionally there's people out there that have either abandoned locations or hidden little graveyards that are actually on their property. If you guys got anything like that, make sure you let me know. I'd be happy to do an episode on that. I particularly enjoy doing locations like that because I can kind of get the personalized history behind things and talk to the people that actually know the story behind it. And so it's something that I've been getting into more and more. So yeah, if you guys know anything out there or have friends that have locations like that, make sure you hit me up. Obviously, if you've got permission from them and know that it's going to be okay and that they'd be willing to share their story, I'd love to hit up some locations like that too. But yeah, I'm looking to sort of stretch out here again soon, especially maybe get to some states that I haven't been to before. One of the reasons I'm trying to head out the Route 66 route when I head back down or head out west again, because then I can hit up a few states that I haven't been to, go to Kansas, Oklahoma, Arizona, things like that. So yeah, I make it to Ohio, absolutely. I would love to make it to Australia. I will make it there sometime. Don't know any time frame on that, but Australia has always been a place I've wanted to go. Um, Fort Reno. No, I haven't thought of that, but I definitely would love to check it out. Again, yeah, Oklahoma is definitely on the list. There's lots of cool places in Oklahoma. I've got a few actually marked out right now, so yeah, I would definitely keep that in mind. Hey there, Drew. Thanks for joining us. Molly, hi. Good to have you here. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've got so many places listed in so many states. I mean, I could probably spend a whole year on the road if I wanted to go out and start today. I probably again wouldn't be back for a year. I mean, I've got hundreds and hundreds, if not over 1,000 locations marked out. I've got so many market locations marked out that Google Maps has a really rough time syncing my locations from my phone to or from the PC version of the website over to my mobile. So it's kind of interesting. I think I've got I can't remember the exact count. The last time I looked at it, it was like well over 500, and then I had more locations listed in because you can mark it as stars or mark it as the little green circles, the places I want to visit or whatever. And so I had started going over into those because the stars started to lose my locations for whatever reason. Freddy Krueger. Yeah. Seymour and Ada Dick. It's an interesting name. I mean, I'd be willing to do anything. If send me the story over, I'll definitely check it out. And if it, again, looks viable for sure. But yeah, yeah, I need to make it to a few more states out in the Southwest. A lot of the eastern seaboard I haven't really filmed much of. I've been to a decent amount of the states out there. I used to do work in South Carolina and North Carolina. I did some work in real estate photography out there, but that was well before my YouTube career. And then, I've been to Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, New York, New Jersey. But again, didn't really do any filming because that was previous to YouTube. And so I need to make it back out there and do some filming there. And then I'd like to make it more further north into the New England area to actually hit up some states that I've never been to ever. So yeah, so many places that not so many, but I am starting to get a good chunk of the states marked off the list. And then of course I need to do more international stuff. Again, I've been to Canada quite a few times, but all before my YouTube adventures, and so I don't have any of that on film, even though some of the stuff that I did up in Canada originally would have been really cool for the YouTube channel. I feel like I did some really long train trips deep into the Canadian wilderness, and so I think that would have been quite an amazing YouTube, well, maybe even a series. So, but yeah, that's just been many, many years ago, and so that was long before I even had the idea of YouTube in my head. So unfortunate, but I would love to make it back there one of these days. And some really cool Canadian explorers that I know that I'd love to work with too. So Amy's Crypt. Oh yeah, yeah. I actually have I know we follow each other on Twitter, even though I haven't been on there in like a few months. But yeah, she makes a really interesting series. But that'd be cool. She's from. I didn't realize. I don't know why I didn't realize she was Australian. Maybe she was traveling in America recently. Because I swear I saw some American locations from her. Hey, Todd. It just depends on what country you're in. Yeah, but I mean, like in America, just because something's open to the public doesn't mean you can't be trespassing either. It's like going to a grocery store. You're on private property, and they can throw you out of there if they don't like what you're doing or like how you're acting, or if they find you filming. But yeah, it just depends on what country you're in. There are some countries that essentially the law is that if you're not doing anything wrong, that there's um, nothing that people can really do about it. So if you were like on someone's property just sort of hiking and they wanted to get you arrested, they really couldn't do it. So in Europe, things are a lot different. And then in some places in Europe, if it's been abandoned for years, obviously there's always going to be somebody that owns something. But at the same time, in a lot of places, if you're not currently using the place and no one does anything wrong or steals anything, then it's not against the law. Hey, Manya, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. The race car driver, Dick Trickle. There was actually a Indiana mayor that was on the Jimmy Kimmel show. Not actually on the Jimmy Kimmel show, because I'm pretty sure he's passed away now, but his name was Harry Balls. And that is legitimately a mayor in Indiana. You can look it up if you don't believe me. It is 100% true. Last name is spelled Baals. And I believe they were trying to vote on the name of a new government center, and that name was on the top of the list, the Harry Balls Government Center, and they ended up taking it off of the vote so that it couldn't win. So a lot of people were angry about that, but it made it all the way to the Jimmy Kimmel show. And I believe a few other news organizations too. I'll be on the lookout, Hardboiled. I just remember it was Indiana. I can't really remember. If you look it up, it's the only one. I'm sure that's the only town that ever had a mayor by that name. But yeah, just if you look it up, it'll come up right away. Especially if you search it with Jimmy Kimmel. You can probably find the YouTube. I think it was the clip was actually made into its own YouTube video, so I'm pretty sure you can look it up on YouTube as well. But yeah, for sure, if somebody wants to look it up and put it out, and I'll approve the link if somebody wants to look it up and post it. But yeah, the funny part is I think there was actually roads named after him too, so it didn't really make sense that they got so angry about it. So who knows? Some people are just uptight. I guess I can understand in some ways, though. I guess people want their government buildings to be taken seriously, but I mean, I suppose there's a lot better things that they could probably do to be taken seriously than worry about the name, so who knows? I don't really know. But yeah. Oh, very cool. In Terre Haute, I think I've been through Terre Haute. Not very recently that I remember. But yeah, that's really awesome. I'm assuming that's a radio station. That was always kind of a weird dream of mine back in the day. I thought if some of the other stuff that I wanted to do didn't end up panning out, that that would be kind of interesting to be a radio broadcaster. I still kind of think it'd be kind of an interesting job. I think that radio isn't as big now as it used to be, but I think it'd be kind of fun. Liquor harder. There's a couple interesting ones like that. Um, there's Michigan has a lot of them. There's Intercourse, Michigan. Um, there's Bad Axe, Michigan, which I know wasn't meant that way. It was meant the way you think of it when it's Bad AXE. But and then I think in Ohio there's an exit. I think it's off of Highway 75. It's a Needmore Road, which is not really dirty but kind of funny. This is just thank you. It's a zip up hoodie. It's my striped hoodie. It's not super fuzzy, but I enjoy it. It's actually one of the oldest hoodies I have. Thank you too, Hard Boiled. Appreciate that. French Lick, I've been to French Lick. That's where Larry Bird is from. If you don't know the famous basketball player Larry Bird, that is where he is from and I believe still resides. Yeah, I would love to. I think it'd be kind of interesting to do like an internet radio, like not internet radio, but like maybe like a satellite radio type thing where there's a bigger audience. And I don't know. I like the local thing. You know, I worked at a local radio station for a few years doing photography, and I always enjoyed it. And I always enjoyed the local sort of media scene. I thought it was kind of interesting. Not really local news or anything like that, but at the same time, I thought it was kind of interesting format, and always had a lot of fun with those people. Clam Gulch, Alaska. Yeah, lots of weird Alaskan towns, name-wise. Not trying to insult Alaska. I would love to go to Alaska. There's an Intercourse in Pennsylvania, too. Yeah, it seems like every town is copied like, well, probably 50 times. And then a lot of the towns are just copies off of European cities. You know, it's like there's Paris, Indiana, there's London, Kentucky, lots of places like that. So, yeah. I recently passed through Mexico, Indiana. That was another one. And of course, there's other stuff. There's Hell, Michigan, too, is another one I missed from before. Not really dirty, but just one of those interesting places that with interesting names that people go to just to take pictures of the signs. Santa Claus, Indiana is another interesting one. And yes, it's like Christmas all day, or not all day, year round, I mean. A British guitarist? No, I've not seen that. I'll have to look that up. I need to get into more music stuff on YouTube. Unfortunately, I only see like, I mean, not that I'm have any, no disrespect towards the the mainstream people, but I only see the mainstream people on the trending page, and so for whatever reason, I just never think of it. I need to do more of a deep dive into Weed California. Well, that would make sense. I would love to know the origin story of that name. Paris in Illinois as well. Yeah, I mean, so many. Some of them I just think we need to be more creative, and then some of them are really interesting. Oblong, that's cool. See, that one's fun. Paris, it's like there's already a Paris and it's not here. To me, it's like that's what I don't understand. It's like you're never gonna be the Paris that's actually Paris, so why try to be that? Um, like we have Indiana has a lot of them too. There's Edinburgh, Indiana, which is a copy of a UK town. Yeah, so that one's again, that's a town on the beach, and it's not on the beach in Indiana, and so there's no real comparison. So I really don't understand it. Wings of Pegasus. So that seems like I've heard of that before. Maybe I have seen some of that because I've heard of the Wings of Pegasus, other than the myth. But I think I've heard of the channel though. So maybe I have seen some of that. I used to look up different tutorials and stuff back in the day. So maybe I randomly stumbled upon something. Defiance. I was just in Defiance, Ohio not too long ago. It's kind of an interesting name. I think one of my favorites, though, there was an Adam the Woo video, and randomly I passed by the exit. I didn't even realize that I was doing it, and I was on my way from California to Las Vegas to meet up with Xavier from Cryptid Hunter, and I passed by the it wasn't a town, I guess it was the road, the Zizix Road. I can't remember how you spell that, so don't ask me, but yeah, there's a Zizix Road, and I think at the end of it is an old military base. I'm pretty sure it's like a touristy location. You can drive down and go there now, and I can't remember what in the world's at the very end, but there's some stuff going on down there that you can check out. I think Defiance is where I took the picture of the stacked Beetles, the cars. I think it was VWs. But I randomly took the picture, and then the very next day, Adam the Woo was there, so I missed him by one day. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if you do really good live streams and you're monetized, a lot of people are willing to contribute. I think it's definitely one of those evolutions that I think sort of sprung from Twitch, and yeah, I think it's definitely more power to them. I feel I'm definitely happy for those people. Oh, awesome! Thank you. Yeah, there's the name of the road if you want to look it up. Zizix Road. I almost went down it, but I was in such a hurry to get to Vegas and get posted up and get a hotel and everything that I just decided to keep going. I had a few locations that I ended up passing up that I now regret. I'm definitely going to hit them up again when I go out hit them up when I go out that way again, I mean. I guess more power to anybody. If you can do what you love, then go out there and do it. I don't look down on any gamers just because I think we a lot of us think about it in the wrong way. We wonder why there's kids out there making all this money playing video games, and then we turn around and watch a game of basketball or watch football, and it's the same exact scenario. As people like to watch professionals play something better than they know how to. So I think it's very normal. It's just sort of expanding. It's sports, but it's esports. Hey, good night, Chrissy. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. So yeah, no, I have a lot of respect for gamers. If you can get good at something and make a lot of money doing it, especially in tournaments, then that's pretty cool. But I mean, obviously, there's some dangers of getting involved in that too young, and it's sort of going to your head, I guess. Oh no, maybe I just missed it, Todd. I didn't mean to. No, I didn't think you were being disrespectful. I don't know why I missed it though. My apologies. But I thought I did. Maybe if that was the legality comment, I think I did comment on it. Um, oh no, no, okay, I found it. In terms of like serious bodily injury and um, so two points. I guess I would say on the injury part, I wouldn't be so judgmental on, and not that you're being judgmental, just talking about my own experience, but um, only because a lot of the places that I go that are completely legal are also incredibly dangerous. So sometimes when I'm climbing up to the top of a mountain, or I'm sitting there standing, photographing something on the edge of a cliff, or whatnot, I could obviously get incredibly hurt or worse, and so I don't really put that in my judgment as much. Obviously, there's to some degree that you know we are, as YouTubers and creators, going to be somewhat of role models, I guess, in a small way towards younger people. And I definitely don't want to encourage younger people to do incredibly dangerous things that are stupid and that could get them hurt. And so obviously there's that sort of responsibility. But to that, I guess I would say that, yeah, to a certain extent, you can like what somebody does, but, for like every celebrity or every creator out there to be these role models and have to live up to certain expectations just because of what people could copy, I don't necessarily have that opinion. But then at the same time, if some place is truly marked off and says, I I think there's a difference between breaking into a place and going into a place that's just open, and taking a look around. If it's clear that somebody truly doesn't want you to be there and you're like going around security to get into the place, I guess you could have a completely different opinion about it. I try not to be too judgmental either way, but at the same time, I can understand how that would be a completely different situation. Um, but yeah, so I guess I can see it in both directions. Obviously, you don't want to set a bad example, but again, yeah, I don't believe in that celebrity role model stereotype, you know. And again, yeah, your parents should be role models, and then again, everybody should find their own way in life too. It's one of those things where if it's right for you, it's right for you. Obviously, to a certain degree, up until the point where you're starting to affect other people's rights and other people's lives. Obviously, that's completely different. But if you're doing something that's not hurting anybody else, then obviously that's not necessarily a bad thing. And so everybody should just find their own way. And so that's kind of way I don't know. I guess I kind of have a centric view on it. If you're not hurting anybody and you're not overwhelmingly going against somebody else's will, then it should be okay. And then otherwise, maybe just have respect for other people's things and other people's places. And if somebody truly doesn't want you there, then just respect that and say, I'll keep trying to get permission, and until then, I'm just going to abstain. So that's my 2 cents on it anyway. Yeah, the world has definitely changed over the years. So yeah, for sure. And people change too. So, and we all grow and we all make mistakes and we grow from those mistakes, and that sort of makes up who we are as people. And yeah, but yeah, I don't feel an overwhelming responsibility to be everybody's role model though. I mean, I don't know. I don't judge my own intelligence for sure, but in terms of learning, I just always enjoyed learning. So, like, I think it's sort of like my pastime. Like when I turn to like YouTube instead of looking, I definitely watch like comedy and things like that, and I have a few sitcoms out there that I watch and TV shows like that. But at the end of the day, I think I feel like I enjoy something that's going to teach me something new more than anything, and so I generally, in terms of my own media consumption, tend to lean towards learning new information, documentaries, things like that. You know, like, um, just the other day, I watched the Vietnam documentary, and then before that, I watched a World War II documentary, and yeah. So I mean, I'm always doing something where I'm just sort of diving into worlds that I don't know or I don't feel like I know enough about, and then, yeah, I find that kind of stimulating. There's a lot of purely entertainment type of media that I just can't really get into. If I'm not mentally stimulated to the point where I'm learning something that I don't know, then I don't know. I'm not interested in it for the most part. But then for whatever reason, when it does come to comedy, like I don't tend to go for intelligent comedy if that's sort of a thing, that idea of highbrow comedy. I'm always lowbrow. Um, Slapstick, whatever it is, I find it funny. So I think when it comes to like funny things, people would find that I'm the exact opposite. I generally go towards, not really, I wouldn't call it dumb comedy, but just, I don't know, sort of that low level, not necessarily thought out sort of thing, if that makes sense. I don't want to like call anybody out as being lowbrow, but I think everybody kind of knows what I'm talking about. Thank you, Todd. Well, I'm glad that answered your question for you. Yeah, sorry I missed your comment there. I didn't really mean to. Old commercials. Yeah, old commercials can be hilarious. Okay, yeah, I love watching documentaries on YouTube for sure, and um and on any platform really. I've got obviously YouTube, and then I subscribe to Netflix and Amazon Prime, so I get a lot of different avenues that I can go in terms of those types of series or movies. Yeah, I find anything that I just don't know is as fascinating. It doesn't have to be any level of um historical significance. As long as I don't know, then I find it fascinating. Dumb and Dumber. Oh yeah, I grew up on Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the theaters. That's great. I just don't. I think comedy is a completely different animal. It doesn't necessarily have to be intelligent. And if you think it has to be intelligent, I don't know. I just, not that I don't like that type of stuff too. The sort of well thought out, non sort of slapstick style comedy, but at the same time, why can't the other stuff be funny too? So that's sort of my opinion on that. I think there's a range. Oh, no worries, Kathy. Sorry, I don't. I'm not sure what the issues are, but yeah, hopefully it's nothing with YouTube. I find with fashion, a lot of things that used to be sort of out of style are now completely back into style. And I feel like the internet sort of keeps everything alive. I feel like we just sort of take the best of every generation now and just keep it perpetually in style. Yeah, again, yeah, nothing wrong at all with intellectual comedy, for sure. I listen to um, some different podcasts and different comedians and stuff that would definitely be considered intellectual, I guess, in some ways. But at the same time, yeah, slapstick comedy, lowbrow comedy, uh, it's great. Yeah, I completely agree. But I mean, I'd hate to go and list anything because I'm really bad at names. And then whenever I'm on the spot, I always forget a lot of the stuff that I would have listed. So I'll let you guys sort of choose your own favorites and go from there. But yeah, I sort of take in it all. Yeah, and I find that it's sort of popular these days in terms of people that do like the secondhand stores and things like that, just to find really cool clothes. I think that um, again, it doesn't really necessarily matter what decade it's from or what era it's from. As long as it looks good, people are into it. A favorite silent movie comedian? Not in general. I haven't watched a whole lot of silent movies. I've definitely watched uh, a few things here and there, but um, yeah, I don't probably know enough to even comment. I mean, obviously, I know like some of the bigger people like Chaplin and whatnot, but like to like judge them against anything, I wouldn't really be able to do that. Yeah, lots of great British comedy. I um, grew up on a lot of Monty Python, and so lots of great British actors and comedians were involved in that whole group and series of movies and whatnot, live shows and things. So yeah, always been a fan of the British side of comedy. I know some people love it, some people hate it, but I've always loved it. Yeah, I do think that with the invention of the internet, that there's a lot more freedom and style. Sort of just do whatever you like, and as long as you, I guess, put some effort into it, people are gonna respect what you're doing. There's actually a few silent movies on Netflix. They're a little bit harder to look up, but um, if you look hard, you can actually find a few. An Idiot Abroad. Oh yeah, yeah. I've watched that. That is a series produced by Ricky Gervais, and he sent one of his friends essentially around the world to different places, just because he felt that his friend was sort of uncultured in the ways of the world and really didn't know much about the way different people lived and different customs and things like that. And so he sent him around basically to put him in these uncomfortable situations where he'd have to be forced to learn on the spot. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. Sometimes I feel like they're a little bit harsh on him, even though he does give it a shot and does kind of try. But at the same time, I understand why they're doing it, and I feel like he's sort of in on it as well. Benny Hill, yeah. Um, that's awesome, Hardboiled. Yeah, that'd be incredible. Um, Yeah, I think the old like Nickelodeons were really cool. The pianos. Maybe some people don't know what I'm talking about, but Nickelodeon's not just a television channel for kids. It's also the name of silent movies where they would play piano live to these silent films. So if you ever hear, or if you ever see the films and they have just the piano playing in the background, and a lot of times the words will pop up on the screen um, in between scenes to sort of explain to you either what the actors are saying or what's going on in the scene, then that's kind of a Nickelodeon. Yeah, that was the only I did. Yeah, with Idiot Abroad, I did occasionally feel sorry for him, but yeah, then at certain points you did kind of understand what they were getting at. That he sort of had this weird view of the world as, why would anybody do this? And this seems so ridiculous. When at the end of the day, it's like, they do it because that's part of their culture, and not because it really makes sense to everybody else in the world. But yeah, there were points where, especially when he would be on the phone calls with Ricky, and they would sort of be just like really harsh and just making fun of him. And yeah, at those points is when I kind of started feeling sorry for him. Oh yeah, Shirley Temple movies. Yeah, I've actually seen quite a bit of the old Shirley Temple movies when I was younger. Yeah, some really cool shows. Um, Another one I kind of feel sorry for at the end of the day, though. I feel like being a child actor back then was a lot more, uh, a lot rougher of a life than what it is now. There's a lot of laws now that sort of dictate how many hours they're allowed to work, and really sort of make sure that their lives are still devoted to learning and to school and to furthering their education and going to college and things like that. And back then it was sort of like, these kids were forced to work 40-hour work weeks, and so I kind of felt kind of sorry for her. And yeah, I thought that's the only sad part about it. But other than that, incredibly talented. Sounds like we're about to blow down here. Things have been blowing all over the place today. There's like trash cans all over. When I went out for a little bit, somebody's gigantic swing set, like not one of the like metal little swing sets with just a few swings, but like a gigantic like wooden castle swing set had completely blown over. One of those scary situations. It's like, what if somebody was playing on it at the time? They would have got incredibly hurt. But yeah, the wind out of there is horrible right now. Mrs. Brown's Boys. I haven't watched that. I'll have to look that up. Okay, yeah, I've definitely heard of Mickey Rooney. Unfortunately, I'm just so bad at names. Even putting a name to a face, that a lot of times I've seen things that I either don't remember the name of the actor or I don't remember the name of the movie, and so sometimes I'll say that I have never seen such a thing, and um, I'll go back and I'll watch it and then I'll remember it completely. Yeah, this morning I was worried that I have a lot of plants sitting on my windowsill here, and I was worried that the windows were gonna flex so much that it was gonna push all the plants off the window. So I almost got up and um, took everything down and put them on the shelf over here. So yeah, it was just crazy. And then I went and picked up the trash cans off the ground, and put them all back up. And by the time I had walked away, they'd already blown back over. So I had to go and pick them up again and put them somewhere else so that they wouldn't blow over again. And yeah. And then a couple times when I was driving on the road, it was like a sudden gust of wind would hit and it would like blow the car over partially. And it's like, man, someone's going to end up getting blown into my lane and just hit me head on. $55 and 60 miles per hour gusts. Wow. Yeah, I think it might be like that around here. I haven't seen the exact numbers, but it's pretty bad. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. Oddly, after we had some of the recent discussions on the podcast about different things that people say about your personal fashion choices and about people that live alternative lifestyles, I think that some people have been sort of trolling me because I've noticed a few like out of place comments about my style recently that seem sort of hateful at the beginning, but then I think that they're actually just sort of trolling me. They don't really care. They're just saying it because they actually watch the podcast. So it's been having a weird effect on the 539 channel in a way, because now it's like I've been getting a decent amount more comments about like negative comments about my style, but it just doesn't necessarily feel like they're actually making fun of me as much as they're just sort of, again, just saying it to get a reaction because they know I made a podcast about it. Oh yeah, the Mandela effect. Yeah. It started out with a lot of people thinking that Nelson Mandela had died in prison and never became president of South Africa. And then as that realization began to go around, a lot of people began to pull out different things from history. A lot of people think with Sinbad that they mixed it up with the Shaq movie, which I can't remember what the Shaq movie was either, but I believe Shaq played a genie of some sort in a movie. Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. And there's like the things like the Berenstain Bears. Some people debate on the spelling of it. Yeah, I think it's incredible. I don't really know the veracity of it, whether, it's just a bunch of people that, obviously our minds are fairly open to manipulation, and so, if enough people say something, then we can sort of think that it did happen when it didn't. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that sort of independently have these ideas, and then it sort of is 50-50, where a lot of people independently think that either a TV show or a movie or a historical event happened one way, and a whole group of other people think it happened another way, and so it could go either way, I guess. I don't necessarily think it's sort of group delusion, if you want to say it that way. I think there might be something to it. I really don't know. I've definitely had some things happen, even personally. I don't really know any one thing, but I know there's been a few celebrities that I seem to have remembered seeing like news reports of them like passing away, and then hearing them being on a TV show like years later and thinking, well, didn't they die like 2 years ago? And so yeah, I've definitely had some weird experiences like that for sure. At the very least, a very fascinating subject for sure. But yeah, if you never heard of that, definitely look that up. Named after Nelson Mandela, the Mandela effect. Yeah, I do remember the Sinbad movie. And again, they say there's no evidence of it now, but I do remember a Sinbad movie. But then I did hear a really good explanation of it a few years ago, but I don't remember what it was now. They said that there was a similar movie that he played in, but it wasn't actually a genie. But I really don't know. That's so I mean I can't really say. I swear I have a Berenstein Bears book here somewhere, and I'd love to find it because I'd love to see what the spelling on it was, and I don't know. There's a few things I would like to look into. I think there was a famous cereal too. I don't know if it was the spelling of the cereal. I think it might have been Fruit Loops or something like that, where some people thought it was spelled regularly, and then some people thought it was spelled with two O's, and that they were cereal pieces or something. I think that was the debate, which even thinking of it now, I don't know which one it would be. There's an Apache legend that if you say something three, I actually believe that, yeah, because I mean, um, there's another study that's been done. It's like there was like a college study where they would ring a bell, and then they would ask like kids to take a drink of like pop or something like that, and then after a while they wouldn't have to actually ask, so they would just have to ring the bell, and then they would take a drink, and sort of this mental training. So yeah, I could see where that would be true. Yeah, that's odd. I do remember the poster too for the Sinbad movie. A lot of people said it was mistaken for the Shaq one, but I remember both. Yeah, so and some of the scientific explanation for it is the idea that there could be um well, there's a pretty good indication that there's multiple universes, and that things happen in different ways in each universe, and that each moment in time could sort of break off into a separate reality, so that maybe in one reality you decide to go to the mall one day, and maybe in another reality you decided to stay at home, and maybe it's suggesting that maybe everything that can happen does happen. You too, Hardball. Yeah, yeah. I swear I have some of those books somewhere, and I think it's only the spelling. It's not that they exist or anything like that. But yeah, I think some people think it's. I can't remember the exact. I'm not gonna say something that's wrong. Hey there, Amanda. Welcome. Good to have you. I'm not sure on the date of the Sinbad movie, but yeah, I know there's a few people that have talked about it, and there's probably more information out there online than what I would be knowledgeable in. But yeah, I do remember hearing about that, and then when they talk, I heard about it in relation to the Mandela effect, and when I heard them talk about it and saying that it never existed, that actually kind of made me kind of angry, because I knew I had seen that, and then when they suggested that it was the Shaq movie instead, I was kind of a little bit distraught about that explanation, because I remembered both. And had I thought it was one or the other, I could have understood and said, okay, well, maybe I just made a mistake. But I specifically remembered both of them. Yeah, that is kind of the. I can't again. I don't know what the two different spellings were, but yeah, that's sort of the argument going around is how it was spelled. Yeah, maybe it was just with whether it was a Stein or a Stain, AIN or EIN, because I think in terms of last names that end that way, it can go either way. So, yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if the effect itself is real, then there could, I suppose, never be a way to actually get any evidence of it. But it'd be interesting to see if anybody has any like physical contraband, any DVDs or movie posters or something like that that could prove that it really existed. But yeah, again, the idea is that with multiple realities and with different things happening, that there could supposedly be a way for these multiple universes sort of to converge again, you know, where they sort of became divergent for a while because there was different things happening, but then for whatever reason, because there's an infinite amount of things that can happen, that infinite amount of things could eventually lead back to an exact copy, and at that point those two realities could merge again, I suppose. I guess the idea is not necessarily unscientific, but I don't know that there's any current scientific evidence other than people's own memories that it does actually happen. But I mean, yeah, I suppose it could be a legit theory, or maybe not theory, but um, at least maybe a legitimate idea. Right on, Manya. We'll see you in a minute here. But yeah, we just went past midnight here, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody that is in the same time zone as I am. And we'll see the rest of you here in a little bit. I'm not going to stay on too late tonight. I have a lot of stuff I need to do tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. That wind is getting real scary. Yeah, some of the past life stories are really interesting. I haven't seen a whole lot of them, but I have looked into a few different stories and seen a lot of interesting information about it. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I mean, who knows? I would think with the past lives it would be a little bit more difficult because memories are sort of chemically stored in our brains, and so even if there was sort of a past life, it would be fairly unlikely that those memories could continue on into the next life. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird circumstance. It'd be interesting to see what sort of scientific postulations people could have about that. So, yeah, I don't know. Hey there, Michelle. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. Appreciate that. That's interesting, Hardboiled. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one of the end of the spectrum, obviously kids have very vivid imaginations, and then at the other end, it's like, why would they come up with something so detailed and so absolutely out there? You know, I think a lot of times they'd probably rather be imagining stuff about their favorite, movies or cartoons or TV shows or whatnot, and come up with something so, um, again, vivid and descriptive. I think that's pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah, Molly. I mean, the universe is a crazy place. It's hard to judge infinity from our perspective. We don't really, I think, have. Well, maybe we do, but it's hard to wrap one's mind around that concept, and you know, um, I don't know. It's hard to even talk about. But yeah, I mean, maybe it is possible. Maybe it's not, and if it's not, then we certainly have some vivid experiences about stuff like that happening. So I don't know. I think there's definitely a possibility, especially again with the idea of having multiple universes and um, multiple realities breaking off from each reality. Have I noticed the conditions in the graveyard is getting worse, or it just really depends on which area I'm in and um, each individual place, kind of. Some places I notice things get worse. Sometimes things actually get significantly better. There's been a few places um, that I've gone back to, obviously, and they've gotten better. And there's even been a few places that I haven't gone back to yet, but I've driven by them and they've noticeably gotten better. So I think there's definitely some hope out there for sure. But some places get worse. Some places have unexpected damage that occurs, whether that's natural or man-made damage. But yeah, it's just sort of dependent on the area. Yeah, it would freak me out too. Yeah, it's interesting to think about for sure. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I couldn't say one way or the other. I think that it definitely is fascinating to think about, for sure. And again, I don't think it's the most unscientific thing ever. I think there are some serious scientific principles that could lead to a environment, to a universe or multiverse where maybe stuff like that is possible. Um, or maybe it's not a past life, but a parallel life. You know, um, if there is something more to consciousness than just the mind, then the idea that our consciousness might be leading multiple or an infinite amount of lives in different ways in different bodies and different universes, then maybe there could be some sort of connection between them all, and there might, in some weird way, be some sort of ability to send information back and forth sort of randomly, and that could impact our own lives and our own minds. Who's to say? It's a crazy universe. If anything, the more we learn, the more we realize that we don't really understand it all. It's very easy to categorize things by what we can see, what we can touch, what we can measure, and then there's just a lot in science that says that we really can't measure a lot, and that some stuff is physically affected just by the act of measuring it. So it sort of makes it almost inaccurate in a way to measure certain things, um, like light itself. If you look up some of the interesting phenomenon that happens around measuring whether light is a particle or a wave, and some of the crazy experiments that they've done, that sort of almost seems like the light knows that it's being measured and so acts in a different way when it's measured than when it's not measured. It kind of leads to some very bizarre occurrences and some very bizarre um, possibilities. Yeah, quantum physics, string theory, things like that. Um, Sort of try to go in and explain those things. When we get down to the very small levels of science, it becomes a little bit harder to tell exactly what's going on. Yeah, I believe glass is considered an amorphous solid. It's sort of a. Now, I've heard some people say that it isn't, but then I've seen science books that literally say that it is. Whether it is or isn't, there are the idea or the objects that are amorphous solids do exist. They're just essentially a physical substance that sort of lives on the border of liquid and solid, so it sort of flows at a very slow state. Happy Thanksgiving, Amanda. Yeah, if you look up a different test, I think it's called the double slit test, um, where they can essentially send a single photon, a single particle of light through one slit or another slit. If they don't measure it, then it seems to go through both at the same time, as if there's two of them, even though there was only one. And then if we measure it part of the way through, it will change the way that the test goes. And if we delete the measurement afterwards, then it changes the way the test always was. So it seems to sort of be able to change its results even through time. A connection between consciousness and soul or spirit. I mean, it's a complex subject. I think it depends on what we consider one to be, and if there is a distinction between the two. And it's a hard one. I don't think anybody really knows for sure, because we first have to find some physical evidence of where the line is and if they're separate, and what it truly means, I guess. I don't know that we've come far enough to truly understand. But I mean, I think there's definitely some ideas, whether it's the fact that information doesn't really die, that information really can't be destroyed in the universe, and that maybe some remnant of us would live on, or that consciousness is maybe in itself some sort of force. And so, just by not having a body doesn't necessarily mean that consciousness doesn't exist. And I mean, there's definitely a lot of scientists out there that say that there can be forms of life out there that don't necessarily need a physical representation, whether it's energy-based life forms or non-carbon-based life forms, or completely artificial life forms. Who knows? It's kind of interesting. Yeah, definitely. Welcome back, Manya. Yeah, different sort of mental disorders and degradation of the mind can sort of lead us in a certain direction. But I mean, a lot of people could describe it also as being, sort of the filter of our mind, and how consciousness, sort of exists through that filter. But I mean, it's hard to say. So, I figure at this point, with not enough physical proof out there on what it really all means, there's not really been any physical measurements of things and whatnot. You just sort of got to go on your own instinct on that one, but definitely fascinating to think about at the very least. Yeah, I don't know, Hardball. I mean, we definitely know that there's scientifically a lot more to the universe than the physical side of things. I mean, in fact, the majority of the universe and what makes up the universe is some sort of substance and some sort of energy that we can't even measure. You know, dark matter and dark energy are a huge part of our universe, and yet we can't measure it. We don't know what it's made of. We don't really know how to describe it other than we can see its gravitational effect on the galaxies, and we know that it's there because we can see, again, its effect. But in terms of actually physically being able to measure it, physically being able to see it or understand it, we have absolutely no idea. But we know it's there, and we know that it's more numerous than any other form of matter or energy in the universe. So who's to say? No problem, Kathy. So, yeah, I mean, at this point in our existence, there is just so much more that we don't know than what we actually do know. So, you know, until we have this idea of a theory of everything and we can describe absolutely everything that happens and describe why it happens, then there's just really no way to say for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy near-death experiences of people that have gone through things like cardiac arrest and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I've seen evidence that could point in either direction, whether it's sudden, exaggerated mental activity that it's creating sort of these hallucinations, or maybe it's some sort of connection to what comes next. You know, it's hard to say at this point. Again, the science on it is just not complete enough to say either way. So, not to knock on anybody's personal experiences, you know, it's just, again, it's just one of those things you gotta sort of judge for yourself at this point. A big Mardi Gras parade. Well, I guess that couldn't be bad. It sounds like a fun experience. So, if that's it, afterward we go to a huge parade and have a party, then sounds cool. Yeah, it's kind of interesting thought that, you know, it might be so much better that you wouldn't necessarily want to be coming back, but I don't know. At least you came back to tell the story, though. It's got to be something. I'm sorry to hear that, Jade. Yeah, it can be a rough time of year, especially when we've had loved ones that have been lost, and you know, I've had the same. I've lost family and I've lost friends for sure, and it's rough. But you know, I guess the only thing we can do is put our trust and strength in the people around us and try to live the best existence that we can. But yeah, it's truly rough. I feel for you. Yeah. Sorry, got distracted there for a moment. I'm looking at stream stuff and the time here. I don't want to, again, stream too late here. with everything going on, and I got to be up early tomorrow. But yeah, definitely to everybody out there that's struggling, and, you know, I think a lot of us have been there. A lot of us can completely understand, you know, maybe not completely. Obviously, we each have our own individual experiences in life, and we can never completely understand what it is to walk in someone else's shoes. But at the same time, we've all had some amount of struggle and some amount of loss, and so, to be there for somebody and to be there for each other, I think is really important, especially during these times that, we make sure to not only think about what we're going through, but about what other people around us are going through, and sort of be mindful of that, and, be willing to reach out and be willing to be there for somebody else that is maybe going through something hard and something where they're going through a lot of struggle in their life. So, yeah, for sure, in these holiday seasons and winter in general, it can be a lonely time. Make sure if you've got anybody in your life that's, going through something, that you reach out and let them know that you're there, And if you're going through something in your life, make sure you reach out and find somebody that maybe can be there for you. There's a lot of great people out there that are, willing to go through that with you. And if you can find that friend or that family member, then, that's something that's going to continue on with you for the rest of your life, for sure. No worries, Jaden. Yeah, no, I understand completely. Yeah, and I don't mean that to say that, I mean that definitely in terms of commiserate. I don't mean that to diminish what you're going through, for sure. Just to say that, yeah, I mean, we just got to be there for each other, and definitely, hope the best for you, and hope that you have that person there in your life, or people there in your life that can support you during that situation. But yeah, absolutely, I completely understand. But yeah, I mean, I've been through stuff in my life, and it can be rough, Well, thank you for joining us, Bonnie. I really appreciate it. You have a great night and a great holiday season. I'm glad you shared, Jade. I appreciate that. No, don't think that you're bringing anybody down. You should feel free to share what you want and to talk about your own experiences. I think it would be selfish of any of us to think that you sharing your own experiences would bring the rest of us down. I'm so sorry, Kathy. Yeah, that's terrible. I can only imagine. That'd be a rough thing to go through. So yeah, again, just to everybody out there, if you see somebody around you that's struggling, try and be that person that they can lean on. But yeah, it's a hard subject to even talk about. But not to say that it's not important to talk about, because obviously we all need to talk about that type of stuff and talk about and discuss our struggles, the things, and our experiences in life in general. It's the way that we get by. It's the way that we learn. It's the way that we heal. I'm glad that people feel comfortable to talk about like stuff like that. Streams are often just hangout sessions or podcast or whatever, but at the same time I definitely want people to be able to bring up any subject, negative or positive or anywhere in between. Life is life and life is experiences, and we each go through different experiences, and I think the only way for us to truly understand other people and other ways of life is to share those experiences, whether they're our happiest moments or our lowest moments. It helps us to understand other people. So it's important. So yeah, I'm glad that we've grown a group of people here that are comfortable talking with each other about a lot of different subjects and a lot of different sides of things. Again, whether it's the high points, the low points, and everywhere in between, it's important that people talk more and communicate. Quite possibly the only way we'll ever make this world a better place. Thank you, Ardbile, and thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you being open to each other. No, never be sorry. No, you never should be sorry to mention something. That's fine. But no, I just appreciate y'all being here. Thank you very much for even taking the time out of your days to spend it here with me and with this fine group of people that we've grown over the years. And glad to have you guys as supporters, and glad to have you guys on in these late night hangouts doing exactly this. And I think it's good for everybody to sort of see what everybody else is experiencing, and to see the sort of wide variety of people that we have on these channels and in these communities. And I think it's neat that communities like this can grow, and that from absolutely nothing, from years and years ago, having a dream, to growing this crazy amazing community has been one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And it's great to see how it's grown, and great to see how positive it has remained over the years. When again, as I've said so many times before, so many channels and so many communities just dive into the negative and into tearing each other apart. And to be able to say that, I haven't grown and we haven't grown that sort of community is something that is really important to me. Thank you, Hardboiled. Yeah. Yeah, in terms of YouTube and streamers and creators, I find that, anymore that I do sort of I find myself to be attracted to the communities and to certain creators over traditional forms of media, and definitely the news anymore. It seems like you never find anything good on the news anymore. So I feel like we've got to definitely make our own positivity and our own positive groups of people, because turning to traditional forms of media is definitely not going to be the answer, and definitely not the answer for the world either. We seem to just tear each other apart a lot, and to have any form of creative community where we can sort of come together and be positive is more and more important every day. But yeah, again, my apologies. I have been trying to show a little bit more creativity in the streams, and I almost didn't get on tonight at all. I almost didn't do anything because I was really, really hoping to get some filming done today and to bring you all along with me on one of the many, many road trips that I go on. And between getting rained out yesterday and then rained out again today, and then it being sort of dangerous and windy and not very conducive to live streaming, it was kind of a frustrating situation, but I wanted to at least get on here and hang out for a little while with everybody, and I didn't want to give up on y'all just because I didn't have the most crazy, amazing stream to deliver, or an amazing place to bring you to. So maybe that's me being selfish on my end, but I don't know. I wanted to do something at the very least. So, and again, I wanted to sort of stick to the idea that I was bringing back the streams and really going to be giving this second channel a real go. And I feel like I've been kind of slacking on that lately just because of some of the recent changes with YouTube and getting frustrated with all of that. And it's been it's been rough to be a creator here on YouTube, and sort of trying to restructure everything in a way that is healthy for me and healthy for the channels and healthy for the goals that I have in mind, and to sort of bring all that together and continue to go forward. It's been kind of crazy here lately, and so again, I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out, and I'm still gonna give this stuff a go, and I'm gonna continue to try and expand and bring you guys more and more content, and hopefully do some more regular episodes here on the second channel, and maybe even expand on to other platforms more. Obviously, I've been talking about doing different stuff on different live streams on different services, maybe even like Twitch or Mixer and things like that, just to sort of broaden our audience and broaden our group, and maybe turn a few more people on to the positive side of things and to this group that we've grown here over the years, like I said. So appreciate you all taking the time to come and hang out tonight. Yeah, I agree, Jenny. Yeah, it's often the hardest thing that we can do. We fall into patterns, and patterns are easy, and it's easy to just continue in those patterns. And then when you realize that you have to change, that you need to change, that you need to grow, it can be a rough experience, And it was great that 539 and this channel in general sort of grew the way it did for so long, and then YouTube's changed, and now it seems that I need to sort of again widen my reach and change things up a little bit in order to put some new fuel, some new energy into this whole movement, to this whole journey. And it's definitely not been the easiest thing ever, but I think that I'm starting to manage it. I'm starting to come up with new ideas, starting to start some new things, and I think we're gonna pull through. Obviously, as I've talked about, I've had a lot of frustrations with the YouTube platform in general lately, and its effect on bigger creators as well as smaller creators, and it can bring you to the point where you're about to give up, and it's and as much as I've always said that it'll never end, I can't say that I've never had the thought of just calling it quits, but I really don't intend to, and I really want to continue to move forward on it, But that's where we're at now. I'm just sort of waiting for a good time, a good place to, again, restart some of the travel streams, hopefully, and begin, again, like I said, broadening the reach of the 539 journey. So, appreciate you guys all being along for the ride. But saying that, I hate to cut everybody off. We seem like we're all having a pretty good conversation now about, our own personal experiences and whatnot in life. But as I said, I do have to be up fairly early to get things started for the holidays here and to get a few things done here. So I'll be hopefully taking some photos and whatnot and trying to keep you all updated on what's coming next. Probably do a lot of Instagram tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, I guess today for me, but I'm going to try and put up a lot of still images and whatnot on the Instagram profile and maybe a few updates over there too. So if you got Instagram, make sure to check that out. If you haven't ever checked it out before, you can check out my page at the very least at Instagram.com/539productions, and you should be able to get at least a sneak peek of what's over there and a lot of my favorite still images that I've taken from the road. 539 in the short version I can give you, it's a sort of a mathematical equation that references something called Leet Speak from the 90s. It's sort of a underground hacker sort of code type thing. Essentially, it means Elite Productions. There is a video. If you type in 539 Productions and trying to think of the name of the video. It might be name reveal, the 539 name reveal. I'm not really sure. But I think it'll come up if you search something similar to that on YouTube. I don't remember the exact date that I made the video. If I can find it, I'll post the link somewhere. But yeah, I do have a little bit more in depth of an explanation. It's very mathematical in nature, so it'd probably take a while to explain the whole thing. But yeah, again, there is a video over on 539 Productions going really in depth into it. So, but maybe on another stream I'll once again do the deep dive and sort of go into all that. But yeah, that's the short version. Thank you all. I appreciate that you're here. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Jade. Hardboiled. Todd. Thank you. Who am I missing? Molly. Anybody else that I'm missing? And scroll here for a minute. Kathy. Jenny. Everybody out there, appreciate you all. Thanks for joining me. I'll try to do another live stream here soon. We are going to pick up with the podcast. I know that I sort of missed a week on the podcast, but with all the holiday stuff and all the travels and all the weather stuff, it just was pretty hard. Thanks, Adib. Appreciate you all. And let's see, it's Thursday. I'll be at least back to the podcast by Sunday, and I'm going to try to do another live stream before then. Again, hopefully out on the road next time. So hopefully the next live stream that we do will actually, weather permitting, be on the road. So thank you, Hardboiled. Yeah, again, one of my favorites, and an old school one. So don't get to really wear it enough anymore. But appreciate you guys. Much love, and I will see you in the next one here. Bye, everybody.